until we meet again.
Well, hello again, and welcome to another episode of the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio, broadcasting from the unceded Musqueam Territory at the University of beautiful British Columbia. If you listen to the show on the podcast, this is episode 243. I'm Michael McCall.
I'm Steve Pender.
I'm Zachary Adam Eisenheimer.
And I'm Joe Deasy.
And what a busy week it has been.
Actual games.
Yeah, 3 games we've got to talk about in a little bit of detail. I mean, it's over. The Hawaii trip is over. The players are back in cold Vancouver. That's going to be a little bit of a shock to their system, I'm sure.
They got the sun, though.
Yeah, true.
The sun, but it's cold.
Yeah, cold at night.
It's just to get rid of any trialists that were only there for the Hawaii trip.
Yeah, we'll see who takes the pitch at training this week. But we've got a lot to pack into this show. We're going to talk about the week in Hawaii, some of the other Whitecaps and MLS news. We've got 3 interviews to bring you as well. We chat with Stefan Marinovic and both draft picks, Justin Fiddes and Lucas Stauffer. Now, the Lucas Stauffer interview, it's one of my favourites, Zach.
Steve, that's his second favourite of the year.
One of my favourites. Yeah. Just thought I'd get that in early.
He starts quickly.
Anyway, let's get back to the football.
So, Hawaii games, 2 wins. 1 loss. Obviously, it was in the final, loss. But it was a good start to the week.
Yeah, I mean, we got to see 2 of the games streamed. Good first game from what we saw from the highlights, because we didn't get to see that. That was a 4-0 hammering.
It didn't look like much of a contest from the limited highlights.
No. But then, that team then won against him on the Saturday night. Football is a funny, fickle mistress.
Well, 80% of the goals this preseason have not been streamed so far. So did they actually really happen? Or were they just staged?
We saw the highlights. Well, I guess so, yeah. Staged.
Yeah, 2 wins. We had a win against Iwaki FC, the 6th-tier Japanese club, on Thursday. Made hard work of it, though.
Yeah, barely. The bigger concern should really be when looking at the preseason is not so much results because it's preseason. The concern is, I think, more the performance. And I know
that is early too, though.
True,
very early.
True, and so 1, it's early. 2, I think
it was hot.
I think, well, whatever. I think that
I personally look at effort as what I want to see in the team early on to see if they're efforting on the pitch, and it seemed like they were.
Oh, that's great. So you give them an E for efforting.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, so. The other thing that could be said is obviously with these split squads for these games is you're not seeing what I don't think anyone would call the first 11 together.
No,
there was not like a first 11 and a second 11. It was they were very much mixed sides. But the style, the approach, and the performance, I think, leaves a lot to be desired. Other than the fact, I mean, yes, there's excuses like the heat and 2-a-days, and they wanted them tired, they wanted them working hard, so they supposedly had to think more in game or whatever. But the performance, I don't think anyone watched any of the highlights or any of those games and was just like, I'm excited about this style of play. I'm excited about this approach. Am I wrong?
I can't tell you that you're wrong. I mean, Joe, coming away just from from those 3 games? How are you feeling at the end of the week from what you saw?
Well, obviously it's preseason, like Zach said. We can't take too much from that, but there was a lot of players that I thought, like, okay, I understand it's preseason, but your decision making is so poor. Like Gazal in the last game was one that really stood out. He gave the ball away, like in very dangerous positions quite often. But we know the kind of quality player he is. Hopefully, this is just a preseason thing. These games, as much as we want them to mean something, they don't actually mean something. But the system was a big thing. Like we were all hoping for 3 at the back, and it was 4 at the back the whole time.
No.
That was a little strange.
The second half of the first game, wasn't there 3 at the back on that one?
Yes,
or something?
But when you look at the 3 that they played, it was hardly a lot that you can take from it.
Oh.
Yeah.
But yeah, we barely saw 3 at the back. Tuesday's game had 4 at the back in the first half, and then the kind of weird 3 at the back in the second. Thursday was 4, I think, in both halves. Saturday's first half was 4-1, 4-1, which I like, and I'd be quite happy if that was what they went with this year. Second half started 4-2, 3-1 until Rusty came off, and then it kind of went to 3 at the back, I think. I'd lost interest by then. I just had it on in the background, so I wasn't really paying that much attention.
Now, could it be that Robbo, obviously would be training a 3 at the back, and he didn't like what he saw initially, so he didn't want to put it out in the game until they were ready in training to put it out in the game?
That's the other thing. It probably conditioning comes before the actual full-on tactical switch, but I don't understand, if you are planning on doing it, why don't you just do it from the beginning? We've been saying since the end of last season that if they want to go 3 at the back next season, they have to do it right from the start of preseason.
Especially against the opposition, right? Like, this was a time to because the result didn't look like the result was weighing on them hugely. So why not try the 3 at the back now?
Well, yeah, I mean if pre-season games are made for experimenting. I know we talked about this a few episodes ago. It was just weird. I do kind of get the sense, though, that he maybe wasn't comfortable going with it now. And if he had gone with it now and the players weren't ready for it and it looked a big flop, right away folk would be like, oh, you can't do that. But it could be that he has had a look at some of the guys and they're just not comfortable doing that. But it's very, very early days.
But did anyone get the feeling watching these games that it's just more of the same of what we were endlessly frustrated with last season?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Except for, I agree, except for it looks like they have the right type of player to play that lone center forward who can bring the balls down and or attack them in the air. In Kai Kamara especially.
Yeah.
Blundell had moments of good hold-up play and whatever. He didn't look super impressive. There was that one miss. I think I texted you, Michael. I was like, oh, this looks like Mustafa.
Yeah.
This is a Mustafa kind of moment.
Yeah.
But
yeah, we'll talk a little bit about the attack in the second part of this. But we talked about Robbo wanted them tired. Just going back to that quickly, that seems a bit of a weird thing.
But the thing is,
to have them exhausted.
We'll talk about some other stuff he said in a certain radio interview he did during the week. But he also mentioned in that he was limiting their time in the sun.
Yeah,
because he
which
didn't want them to burn out. Yeah, so but like in their off time and stuff like that.
It was hard to tell by all the posts I saw on social media.
I know. Did no one bring a top with them? That was what I was kind of wondering.
They also didn't bring any kind of food plan because they were eating out the whole time, judging on
were
their
they?
social media. Yeah, I couldn't see. I saw pizzas and salads and things like that.
Hawaiian pizzas, obviously.
No comment on Hawaiian pizzas.
I had a Hawaiian pizza last night just to get myself in the mood.
Wait. Let's take it. Joe, I take it you don't think Hawaiian pizza is a proper pizza?
This is just a Twitter storm waiting to happen.
It's not, though. But I like it.
I like Hawaiian pizza. Just
a pizza is what you make it. Just like a formation is what you make it.
Oh. I concur.
Now, the defence looked fairly solid. We've got to say that. Basically 3 clean sheets. I'm not counting that goal because I wasn't really paying attention. So basically 3 clean sheets.
Okay, before you say you're not counting, some people said it was the guy offside or whatever.
Before the free kick was given. And
if VAR was there, it wouldn't have been a goal.
Yeah, I don't think they were bringing VAR to Hawaii.
Unless there was a flag in the way.
I'd be a nice trip for it, though.
Yeah.
I can just picture VAR wearing the coconut bra.
I honestly don't think the ref cared enough to.
No,
just
I think no one wanted penalties by that stage,
no.
So they were just pretty pleased that was going to actually be over. But Marinovic looked good. We've got to say that. A couple of cracking saves, especially in the game against Iwaki. Threw himself across the goal. He looks really up for it. Brian Rowe, though, little bit dodgy.
Is not a sweeper keeper.
No. A few distribution issues as well, I think we can say.
It's still early preseason.
Yeah, but have you watched him before, Steve? Like,
No,
like,
I don't watch LA Galaxy games.
I didn't rate this signing, and
Yeah.
I still don't.
I don't expect him to play too much unless Marinovic gets injured. And if he gets injured, then anybody you put in the back there is going to be dodgy.
Then you have to look at things like Marinovic is going away probably to play for New Zealand against Spain.
That's one
Or
game.
not Spain, against Canada in Spain. So he's going to miss the third game of the season.
I understand that, but you're expecting that for a lot of players. So
you're happy to just throw in any old dodgy keeper.
I don't think he's that dodgy as like you guys are saying. Yeah, it's preseason. Goalkeepers have the time to get going.
Training. Like the first week here, he had some good moments.
So you just gotta give him the benefit of the doubt that maybe it was just too early and he wasn't ready for it and stuff like that. A guy can turn around.
Okay, so would you not rather?
You guys are writing people off really quickly in the preseason.
Mr. Umbrella Academy, would you not rather to have a young keeper in those situations?
Sure, like a Marco Guiducci who got cleaned out by TFC and then they scored a goal.
I'd rather have an experienced keeper, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'd rather see them invest in someone and have them get games.
Well, we've got Marinovic anyway as the starting keeper, so let's get back to him. I got a chance to sit down with Stefan before they headed off to Hawaii, so this is a fun interview with Stefan. So let's hear what he had to say. So Stefan, we knew when you came in you were going to be like challenging David Ousted for the number one spot. You knew that as well. I think a lot of us knew David was moving on at the end of the season, so we kind of expected you to be the guy this year. But did it surprise you that you took the number one spot as quickly as you did?
Last year, yeah, I guess a little bit. I definitely, felt that I was in training I was on par with David, and David was a great goalkeeper, and he has his strengths, and I have mine, and maybe my strengths lended a little bit more to the game we were playing at the time, coming towards the end of the season. Obviously a little bit of surprise when the gaffer gave me the starting job, but didn't let it influence how I play or how I ended up playing. Yeah, so
got to say, of all the folk we speak to, you're one of the most confident, which I like. Coming to a new environment like this, it hasn't seemed to faze you at all. It's like you just took it like duck to water. Has there been much of a difference? I know you're like third, fourth tier in Germany, but have you noticed much of a difference? Style of play, pace of play, or anything coming here?
Yeah, of course, definitely the pace of play is that tick quicker. But no, I mean, soccer's soccer, right? Football's football. So it hasn't really bothered me that much. I'm a pretty open person, so it isn't that hard for me to chat to someone or whatever, get along with the guys. And as long as I'm comfortable with my team, I feel part of the team, I don't see why that should influence, what it influences positively on, how I play and, who I'm playing for and all that. So.
And this season, obviously, it's a little bit different. You're now the starter. You've got Brian in challenging you for your position. Do you feel you have to go out and show a bit more in pre-season just to secure that number one role? Or, I mean, how do you enjoy a challenge where you're the guy that someone's now wanting to knock off?
I want to say that I don't change much, but you obviously want to put your best foot forward. But I feel like my approach hasn't changed that much to how I approached trainings and all that at the end of near the end of the season. Well, when I came last year, I love a challenge and it keeps me on my toes. And this is preseason. The preseason is the battle for the number one for the starting spot. So I also see it like that. It's, from what I heard, Brian's a good goalkeeper, and so it should be fun. I thrive off a challenge, and Brian's definitely not going to be one that wants to sit by and watch me just waltz into there. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it, and it doesn't really, like you said, it doesn't really change how I approach trainings. I give 100% all the time.
And Robbie's talked about new systems, 3 at the back, potentially. Is that a system that you've played much in, and how different is it for a goalkeeper when you've only got 3 defenders in front of you?
I have actually. I've a lot of experience with a three at the back, because that's what the national team played, and what the new coach at Colorado, Hudson, what he prefers. He never, from memory, like maybe once or twice in the middle of the game, he changed to 4 at the back, but we always started with a 3 at the back, and so I know I know how it functions. He was pretty adamant about drilling that into us when we were in camp. So, if you got three confident big centre backs, for the 3 at the back, you can deal with anything coming down the middle, and it's going to have to go down around the outsides, and it gives you those options forward, and it requires just a little bit different player, right? Which I'm not a coach, so I'm not sure what Robbo's thinking, but wait and see.
Yeah. We're talking to Anthony Hudson then. Were you surprised that he's come over to MLS, or did you think once the World Cup campaign was over and you hadn't qualified that he might look for something different?
Yeah, definitely. After the game in Peru, when we didn't qualify, everyone knew that he would be wanting to move on. He's a young, ambitious coach, and he'd definitely be looking for a new challenge. Surprising that he went to Colorado, to be honest.
Yeah.
I didn't see that MLS. I couldn't see which league he was going to go to, but then he ended up just going to the MLS.
So he didn't speak to you about
No, not at all. I think it was. I'm not sure if it was in the pipeline before the qualifiers had even happened, or if there were any rumours, but he hadn't spoken to any of the MLS players about it. And all honesty, why should he? It's not our business, right? So, good on him. Got a great job in the MLS, I think, and clean slate. So, good luck to him.
Does that mean though that he knows all your weaknesses then for when we play Colorado?
Maybe. I don't know. It depends how we play. I think. I don't know. Everyone has. I don't like to see myself having many weaknesses.
That's what I was expecting you to say. Actually,
no, it's he won't. He won't know much.
Just to finish and talk about the national team. Obviously, like we watched the games against Peru, we're cheering you on, even though Jordi's team was in it. But it's like,
playing, right?
Yeah, got to go for the underdog. I mean, what was that experience like? It seemed that atmosphere in the stadium, just in Peru, seemed electric. And then it did feel if they scored that was going to be it over. But you were doing so well up to that point.
Yeah, it was the most. Just looking at the atmosphere itself, that was the most amazing atmosphere I've ever played in. That's when you're playing in front of, whatever it was, 50,000 ultras, and surrounded by another, 80 million ultras. The whole country was like watching the TV. You could have probably gone out on the street and go robbed a couple of shops, and no one would have stopped you, right? Yeah. Because no one was there. We're all stuck to the telly. So you definitely felt it on the pitch, and that's what a crowd can do for a home team, and they push their home team. And we were the underdogs, but we were even more underdogs in Peru. So the experience itself was valuable, and barring the loss, was an amazing experience, right? Those type of games you play in a few times in your lifetime, right?
Yeah. Even with all the fireworks going off and trying to keep you awake before.
Yeah. We're like us New Zealanders. I think we're pretty resilient, and so for us personally as players, it didn't bother a lot of us that much. It if anything, depends how you take it, right? And I took it in the way that they want to put you off the game because they actually worried that you might achieve something, right? Even at 1-0 down, none of us felt like the game was over because we just had to score one, right? And then we would have been through. So only once they scored that second goal in the second half through some relatively poor defending on a corner did we realize that I don't think we're not gonna get 2 goals back, but it doesn't mean we're gonna stop. So yeah, that much of the game, I guess. Trying to forget it.
That's great. Thanks so much, mate.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Have a
Good
good
luck
one.
this season.
Thank you.
Stefan Marinovic there, who does come from a land down under. I know not Australia, but New Zealand is down under. The last time I
guess so, but I don't think they would take appreciation to that.
And he doesn't like to think of himself as having any weaknesses as a goalkeeper.
No, I don't like to think of him as having any weaknesses either. I don't like to think of any Whitecaps as having any weaknesses.
According to my wife, I only have weaknesses. So.
Well, your wife's just a hater.
You've only been married since August.
Yeah, it's true.
So, we definitely don't seem to have too much to worry about with Marinovic. Waston Parker as well. We kind of knew that already. They looked pretty solid. From the rest of the team defence-wise that you've seen this week, and yeah, early days, etc., etc., but did anyone stand out for you in a good way? We'll look at that.
It was hard because they were rotating so much that you can't get a full game to see one player in one game in one position. Davies played as left wing back in one game, and he was tracking back. He actually might have been a winger, but he was playing so far back that he was basically playing as a fullback. He looked very solid. He was tracking back. He was one of the few players that showed some real urgency and desire, I thought. Yeah.
What about you, Zach? Anyone stand out in the defence for you?
Stand out of the the solid guys were the solid guys. Yeah, Marinovic I thought did fine. Kendall and Timmy did fine. Danielle, was passable.
Is it Doniel? I've always called him Donil.
Whatever. Sorry, I'm not sure.
Well, everybody was calling him the beast or being a beast on the pitch and stuff like that, especially in the second game.
Okay, let's call him Henri.
Okay, yeah, Henri. We've always wanted to have Henri at BC Place, so now we finally got him.
Very different.
No, but wasn't...
Is you still bitter, Joe?
But
yeah, no hokey cokeying from Henry.
But he was described as having a very good game, especially considering he was 18 months away from the soccer.
I thought he did well, and you might be surprised to hear me say that after what I've been saying about him, but I was impressed.
You
with
wanted
him.
to put him in so many packages.
Yeah, I still would. Him and Mond I would package out here, but
he was playing
for
centre.
Justin Merrim.
He was playing in the centre, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
He was playing I think it was alongside Waston. It's all blurring into one now, but he looked good for his first games back. He looked good. He was confident, so it was a positive start. De Jong as well was not bad. Lucas Stauffer for me quite impressed, but we're going to kind of talk a little bit about him and the fullbacks in the next part, and we'll get to part 2 soon after these.
Hi, I'm Carl Robinson. You're listening to the AFTN podcast.
You like to say everything you know, that shouldn't take too long. You like to say everything you think, that shouldn't take you too long. I'm beginning to lose my concentration. This is a never-ending conversation. You talk too much, you talk too much. You never shut up, you talk too much. You talk too much, you talk too much. Please shut up, you talk too much.
That was for Joe there, not because he talks too much, it's also for Zach because he does. But that was the Sultans of Ping FC from Cork, good old Cork band. Had to play that for Joe tonight.
Wait, what did you say?
See, you should listen to these things.
Did you say I talk too much?
You talk too much.
You talk too much.
Talk too much or talk? Those are
Talk.
two different. I definitely talk too
You
much.
definitely talk too much.
I've never toked, so.
No, but if you did, I'm sure you'd do it too much. But how did we get onto this? I have no idea. Anyway, you are listening to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio, broadcasting from the unceded Musqueam territory at the University of beautiful British Columbia. And now, we're going to play a game. It's a new game. Everyone can't wait. This is The Only One. We're going to play the new game now, The Only One. I'll explain the rules. I've explained them to the guys during the break. What we're going to do, we're going to play this in part 2, part 3, and maybe part 5. And there's going to be one question in each part. I'm going to ask you a question of which there are 10 possible answers. You need to write down, if you're playing at home you can do this as well, write down an answer. If it's correct, you will get 1 point. However, if someone else answers the same answer as you lose that point. And as an added twist, I will also write down an answer, and if my answer matches yours, then you will also lose a point. So you have 30 seconds to answer this. And we are looking for any one of the top 10 all-time goal scorers in Major League Soccer. Write down your answer, and in Steve fashion, I've decided to pick some music for this, so we're going back to my childhood now, and here is the theme tune for Bod.
Here comes Bod.
Okay, we all seem to have an answer now. So, let's go from left to right. Steve, what is your answer?
I don't even know if this is right. I put Dwayne De Rosario.
Dwayne De Rosario is in the top 10. He is...
I should know that too, considering I did the research for all that trivia.
True. Joe?
I wrote Chris Wondolowski.
Chris Wondolowski is in the top 10.
I wrote Jeff Cunningham.
And Jeff Cunningham is in the top 10. And I wrote Kai Kamara because I thought one of you would put down Kai Kamara. So points all round.
Yay.
Wasn't that a fantastic start to the show? So
Zach,
1 point
Zach, keep your
each.
shirt on. It was 1 point.
And there's chocolate at stake, so an added incentive there for Steve. Know how much he likes that. But anyway, we'll get Steve back on the board soon. Before that, though, we'll do a little bit more Whitecaps news of the week. Now, the battle for right back, but we saw minutes this week from Sean Franklin, Mark Bloom, and Lucas Stauffer. Stauffer impressed me the most out of those three guys. He's the draft pick, not just because we've got him later on the show as well, but I thought he did really well. Didn't look out of place there, and definitely a very promising guy. Definitely worth keeping around, but from the experienced guys, I know it's a small sample rate, but who did you like, Franklin or Bloom?
I liked Franklin myself. His pedigree is fantastic. The MLS experience that he has will only bring good things to.
And he's more of a dynamic attacker too going forward.
That's
as well.
true. Like Nerwinski is, so we wouldn't have to change his style if he was to come in to jockey for that position. Yeah, of Bloom and Franklin, I was more impressed with Franklin.
Yeah, I mean, Bloom stood out, had one cross for me in the second match, but I think Franklin has to get the nod if you're going for one of those two.
And Bloom has injury problems that we have to consider.
The thing is with Bloom is he's a kind of a Swiss Army knife where he could play in multiple positions if you need that.
Yeah. On Football Manager, he can play all across the back line.
Yeah. The thing about Lucas Stauffer, though, I know you're saying he played really well. You expect that rookies to do that because they want to really impress, whereas veterans come in and they want to kind of pace their way through training camp.
But if you weigh up the potential,
for sure,
Stauffer has a lot more.
But I think Stauffer you can send, because he's a second round pick, you could send him to Fresno.
Absolutely.
Oh, definitely.
Spend a year there.
I think that's possibly the best outcome for everybody.
I think that might be what they do with him. But, I mean, I like that. The other rookie in camp as well, Justin Fiddes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Didn't see a lot at the time, but I mean, what did you make from him?
I don't think I saw enough of him to have a full opinion of him.
He didn't stand out, that's the thing. He didn't stand out in a bad way, which is good.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting for the later preseason games. Is he starting from the bench? Is he getting some starts? You know, we saw Nerwinski last season, preseason.
Yeah.
He was challenging already.
I think we need to have a look at him to know exactly what we've got.
For me, I mean, one thing is I don't think any of these guys are on trial or draft picks or whatever. I don't think any of them, to me, would be ahead of Jake or Marcel on the left, right?
No.
I mean, we're looking at backups.
Yeah.
Backups in the future. And, of course, we'll come to Jake Nerwinski's future a little bit later in this part.
But we've seen before, like 2 seasons ago, right back was the nightmare position for the Whitecaps. We had Fraser Aird.
Now we've got them coming out
Jordan
of our hoo-ha.
Yeah, and one off season we had Williams last season who started, and then Nerwinski finished the season as the starter. You know, it's funny how in one off season your weakest position can become your strongest position, but we have to be careful because we've had vulnerabilities in these positions before, especially now that we've lost Jordan Harvey, who was a mainstay in that left back position. De Jong looks good. He's been really good since around October last year, but one injury and we could be looking kind of shallow.
Well, hopefully we all get a bit more look at Fiddes in the games coming up down in California next week. I got a chance to sit down with Justin just before they headed off to Hawaii. So I'll bring that interview for you now. Just talking about his whirlwind from the draft to being on the training pitch in a matter of days and a lot more besides. So let's hear now from Whitecaps' number 1 draft pick in this year's draft, Justin Fiddes. So, first thing to ask you, Justin, you've had a whole week now of pre-season under your belt. How's it felt out there for you?
Yeah, well, it's different than college for sure. It's a lot faster. The guys are more technical, but I'm just trying to, figure out how guys play, their tendencies and stuff like that. So that takes a little bit of time, but I'm getting better every practice. I can feel myself getting better, and I think every practice is getting better for me, and I think I'm starting to understand more and more of how the Vancouver Whitecaps play and start to, vibe with the guys a little better.
Just to go back a little bit then, the whole draft experience for you, it seemed like a whirlwind. Friday you're drafted, Monday you're here doing training, Tuesday you're on the pitch. What was that first 3 or 4 days like for you?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I was actually thinking about it just this weekend, a week ago, I didn't know where I was going to end up in North America. I could have ended up in Dallas or, Orlando, but I ended up here in Vancouver. And then to just fly right back up here and just get started. You're in a hotel, you're in a new city, you're surrounded by strangers, really. But everyone's been very welcoming. Everyone's been very nice and helpful. And yeah, it's been a very hectic first week, I would say. And it's tough to kind of get your feet on the ground, but I think I'm getting more and more comfortable as time progresses, and I know I will continue to get more and more comfortable.
The training sessions, it's looked so competitive out there, more than any other year that we've seen here. And you talked about the speed and stuff, but have you been surprised how competitive it's been from the start?
I was expecting it to be very competitive, so I didn't come in and I wasn't shocked by the competitiveness. Yeah, I mean, there were some other things that I was not surprised about, but, the speed of play is faster than college. The guys' technical abilities are faster, but the competitiveness, that's something that's standard, I believe.
Now, you were at Washington Huskies for 4 years. Obviously, Spencer Ritchie was there, and you had that one season with him. Have you had a chance to speak to Spencer at all about what it's like here?
I briefly spoke to Spencer here and there when he would come down to Seattle and he'd watch a training session. He was around. So I talked to him briefly then, and then I texted him before I got here to see if he was going to be here. But obviously he's in Cincinnati. Yeah. But he's been supportive, and he didn't really, give me too much insight, but it's not that I really asked, but I know he wishes me the best, and as do I for him.
Read one of the quotes from you said that you loved the rain.
Yeah.
Which from San Diego seems weird, but
yeah.
So how have you found the weather this first week?
It's funny. I mean, it's really no different than Seattle.
I guess, yeah.
It's been a cold week, and it's been a lot of rain, but it's nothing different. Your cleats get a little waterlogged, and the ball skips quickly, but that's the only difference, really. It doesn't bother me too much at all.
Now, you've got a lot of competition on the squad this year, and yourself, I know you can play left back, you can play right back. You've got some experienced guys in the squad, Marcel de Jong, Efrain Juarez, who's been playing full-back for years as well. Have you had a chance to speak to them, or how excited are you to be playing with guys like that to kind of draw on their knowledge?
Yeah, I haven't really spoken to them in the fact of asking, how I can do better in their position, obviously, but just watching them play, watching how fast they play, their movements, and then talking to the coaches about positionally how I should move in the 3-5-2 or in whatever formation we're playing in. We've been down numbers lately, so we've been playing with 3 in the back, and that's something that's foreign to me.
That was something I was going to ask about that.
Yeah, it's foreign to me. We'd always done 4 in the back, and I would always get high, but the first couple practices I was getting too high, and then I was leaving our guys exposed in the back. So they've been on me, stay back, sit in the 3, connect passes. So that's that's one of the challenges that I'm going through now is when is my time to go? When is my time to sit and just connect passes? So that's something that I got to figure out, and that'll take time.
Yeah.
So
you started off as a forward, so then you've had to transition to being a defender. Now you're kind of learning how to be in a three in the back. How difficult is it to make that adjustment? Because so many college guys seem to start off as forward, and you go to college, and then year 1, year 2, you're playing in defence.
Yeah.
It seems baffling to me.
Yeah, it is difficult at first. That's for sure. And like I said, I'm still figuring out how to play in the three at the back. But I think over time, just the more and more you do it, you're going to make mistakes. You get better at it. And I think that starting out forward, it kind of gives you even a little leg up because you have that attacking ability and that, I don't know how you say it, know-how to get forward. And when you do get a chance up there, you really take it. So I think that's one of the biggest takeaways from being a forward, moving back and back and back. But yeah.
I know it's a lot of exciting things happening for you just now, but what are you most excited about right now about what lies ahead?
I'm most excited about I really feel like I'm learning a lot, and I feel like I'm getting better, and I know I have a ways to go. I really do, but I'm most excited about looking back in a year, looking back in whatever it is, 2 seasons from now, and thinking like, wow, when I was there that first week, I was so nervous. I was, not clean on the ball. I didn't know where I was supposed to be positionally, and then to look at that in the future, that's what I'm most excited about, is my development.
Thank you so much for your time. Looking forward to seeing you this season, and good luck.
Thank you
very
much.
That's great. Welcome to Vancouver. Justin Fiddes there, talking all things Whitecaps, the draft and the Washington Huskies. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does as this season goes on. A little bit more chat about the Whitecaps this week and some of the Whitecaps news. We talked briefly about it in the first part, but moving to the attack, Kai Kamara. I thought he had an excellent week. He is looking like that guy we've been looking for up front, big, bustly, making things happen, not afraid to put himself about. Won a penalty, a little bit dodgy, but still won a penalty.
His off the field stuff, the way he came in off the field, like in approach to the new challenge and everything, like on social media and stuff like that, seems to have translated on the pitch at this point, and it seems to be a good kind of motivating for everybody else too.
And he got his first goal, hopefully the first of many.
Yeah, Steve, I think he was probably at the top of your efforting charts, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I thought he looked fantastic, really. Just the target man we've all been waiting for, I should say.
Yeah.
Like Montero tried.
He still needs to get the service, though.
Yeah, he's the ideal guy. If they're going to play that kind of game, he's the ideal guy to have in there, finally.
What would be the odds to have Marinovic to Kamara as the most frequent pass combination for the Whitecaps this season?
Yeah, Marinovic could get a lot of assists this year.
I say 8-1.
It's pretty high. Right?
Yeah, I'm going to give Marinovic 3 assists on the year.
But I think if it was Ousted would have got him the ball definitely. Like Ousted was a way better distributor, like one of the better distributor keepers I've ever seen.
But with Kamara, you just knock it in his general direction, and he'll catch someone with his
elbow.
He'll
He'll make things happen. Yeah, it was good. Midfielders and forwards. You were itching to talk about this, Zach, so we'll let you kick off. Who did you feel did well then out of those in the 3 games that we saw?
No, there wasn't a lot of exciting things to talk about at the back, I felt, other than maybe Kendall. But no, in midfield, this is one actually we talked a little bit about Michael, but it was interesting to see, especially in the first game of the Pacific Rim Cup, Dave Norman. It was a little bit of him living out exactly what he said. I gotta get up to speed with the game. It's going to be more difficult, all that kind of stuff. Because there was times especially early on, maybe the first 60% of his time on the field, where it was like some misplaced passes. He was like turning and making a pass to where he thought the person was going to be or whatever, and it wasn't quite as crisp or to his own team as he would have liked. But I think he kept with it, and as he kept with it, I think he kind of got a hold of his game a little bit.
He had a cracking tackle.
Yeah, made that amazing tackle, and it was kind of like I was like, okay, felt like a bit of a struggle, like he was battling kind of with coming to grips with the game, and then it felt like okay, like he's found his place in the game a little bit, and so I'm really excited to see what the future is going to hold for him, and this season is going to hold for him.
Juarez, I felt, did well in the first 2 games. Third game, maybe not so much, but his distribution and the way that he was kind of just on the field, connecting and those first 2 games looked promising.
Yeah, we really need a midfielder who can have the penetrative pass through to break some lines. But like beside him will likely be Gazal. He didn't look great, but it's early, right? We're trying to draw conclusions.
Maybe he's not used to the heat.
Well, so to switch from the kind of a more defensive guy to more of one of the attacking midfielders, forward kind of players, is I felt like Christian Teixeira had some moments, and you could feel like Christian Teixeira linking up with Kai Kamara.
Yeah,
you could see that happen a bunch.
That's been really good. At training, he's been sending the balls in, putting things away. Fonzie as well, I think, has got the potential to have a really good relationship with Kai, both on and off the pitch. They did a little bit of a chat on CTV, and there's definitely a chemistry between them.
Mm-hmm. Davies looks well up for those games in preseason. He was like doing that thing where he would just drive through a couple of defenders looking for gaps and things like that. Would Teixeira and Kamara be the ultimate big man small man combination? That's if we played 4-4-2, we could have some very good potential like that.
I don't think you give Teixeira a free role, even though I'm sure he would love that.
I wouldn't mind a free role right now.
But if they had those guys on either side, I think that would be promising. Also, Alfonso has already starred in one of Kai Kamara's dance videos, so he's got that.
Yes, true. Anyone that you were concerned about, or do we just make allowances, as Steve says, with it being pre-season week 1, the heat, all that other stuff? Anyone just now that you're thinking?
It was week 2, right?
It was week 1 of the games. Yeah.
No excuses. It's week 2 of training. Come on, these guys are getting
harsh on this side of the room.
No, I think.
I didn't watch the games fully, but I'm so glad I didn't, because if I had followed social media while watching the games, I think it would have people are way too harsh too early in the season.
Oh, absolutely.
Way too harsh. I give a team like 4 or 5 games before I'm like really ragging on them. Regular season games.
That being said, though, not on an individual level, but like the tactics, like what is there to get excited about?
No, I agree with that.
Yeah.
But I think that's those 2 Seattle games really like damaged people internally, and I'm talking about the fans, not the team itself.
Any means necessary.
But it was brutal, and we haven't recovered from it.
I'm really glad it didn't fly down for the game.
I hated it too, but I was over it really quickly because I expected that much.
I can't be bothered with friendlies anyway.
Yeah.
I'd usually just like to have a little holiday, but folk kept saying when I was like, I'm glad I didn't go, but you'd have been in Hawaii. I hate the heat and the sun, so it wouldn't have been a plus point for me.
But how many friendlies can you remember? I remember the Crystal Palace one because that was good fun.
Team 1040 were down there. Robo had a chat with them, revealed something on the radio during the week, which caught a lot of folk by surprise. Breck Shea won't be a DP in Vancouver this season.
Yeah.
Now, everyone's just assuming that means he's been bought down. It could just mean he won't be in Vancouver this season.
That's very possible.
And that's their subtle way of saying that.
But I think he mentioned in that part that they're using Tam to bring him down. I think they did say that. Now, my question is, if he gets traded, does that Tam buy down go with him, and then so he's not a DP for the other team? I'm not sure how that works. Way too much, because that might be more appealing for another team to want him if he's not a DP for them either.
I also didn't think you could use certain elements unless you were bringing in a new DP, but I don't know.
The rules you're looking for are written in a napkin in some cupboard
or in the sand on the beach in Hawaii.
And the other big thing that was revealed, Jake Nerwinski, contract extension. A good thing.
Yes, but don't mention the option years, or else some people might have a conniption.
Besiktas are already lurking.
Yeah, exactly. Or the Mexican team.
But it kind of shows that they've got belief in him. So, yeah, well done for Jake. We'll just finish up our Whitecaps chat. The Whitecaps season ticket packages came out this week. I'm not a season ticket holder anymore. I do believe there's been a bit of unhappiness. Kerfuffle. There's a good word. Bit of kerfuffle about
Tempest in a teacup?
Yes, so you wanted to...
Seems like supporters are in a tankerous mood.
Yeah, Whitecaps Scarf put out a tweet of what all the other packages were like for different teams.
I like the way he built it up too, where he showed all the good ones and then they showed the Whitecaps.
Yeah. You had some thoughts on that.
Okay, so the first thing I want to say is, I know for some people, and Michael, you remind me of this from time to time. Sometimes I can sound like
curmudgeon,
like a song with one note.
Yes,
right?
A broken record.
Yes. Very too negative towards certain things or the front office in general or whatever. You remind me of that. My good friend Arna reminds me of that from time to time.
Should the front office remind you of that?
No, they don't. But so I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I think there's a little bit of context to this, which is somewhat out in the ether, but maybe not fully. And I don't want to come across as just being negative, but I think it's important. So I want to try and say this: it's important to understand kind of how they operate, because I think that's what some people are missing or they don't fully grasp. But basically, the way the Whitecaps function is not something that just happened overnight. They have been functioning in a certain way for many, many years. And when you have people who get into positions by functioning a certain way, they're going to keep functioning it that way because that's how they got to that place. So that's without going into details about what that means and what that looks like or how that actually transpired. But they have a certain way of doing things, a certain way of approaching things. So for them, things like a survey that they give to their season ticket holders, they hold up really high. It's really valuable for them. It's one of the ways that they feel that people have been given a voice to speak to them. And so they do a lot of things based on that, as whether you think that's a good idea or a bad idea, whatever. That doesn't matter. That's how they've chosen to operate. Like a scientific, we have these facts. This is what the people have said.
Well,
this is what we're going to do.
Because folk, you're asking the fans.
So what they have done is they have said, we have given the people a voice via this. And the way that they're choosing how to ask the questions or what the questions are. So one of the questions they've asked, and I don't know if they ask it every year or they've just asked it in the past or whatever, I can't remember. I don't always take the survey. I have more recently. But one of the things they have asked is, would you like the cost of your ticket package or the cost of your tickets to be cheaper, or would you like things included in the package that would make things more expensive? Okay, that's
so most folk would pick cheaper,
right? So they would say, "Look, we've asked you. You've told us you prefer a cheaper price without things added on." So that's how they've chosen to operate. They've said, "We've heard from you, and so this is what we're going to do." So that is what they have done. Now I know. The side discussion to this is, well, if you're striving for excellence, you should go above and beyond. You should get a sponsor to come in and help, or you should find money, or you should budget, or whatever.
Well,
but
they
that's
have Ford now. That was announced this week.
Right.
So that who knows what that good is. We might get a free car.
Right. Yeah. But that's not really how they operate. They say, this is what the people have asked for. This is what we're going to give them. Again, they're asking the question, but that's how they've gone about this. So
I was a season ticket holder at East Fife from 1985 to 2007. We didn't get freebies.
Right.
We didn't expect freebies.
Yes, and I've heard
a season ticket.
I've heard a number of European people say this, and that's where I would say that's that's true in Europe, or maybe I've heard in the UK that's true. But what you're talking about with the tweeting or whatever, people are saying, well, what does it look like in the league that we're in? And that's where the comparing thing.
That's where it's different.
Yeah. So here's the thing.
I agree with you. Like, I don't think that's even a question you ask. You don't ask people a question because you're just getting them to say the cheaper option, right? I think that's a question that shouldn't even be on a survey. You just do what you're supposed to do.
But Steve,
I'm agreeing with you. Just to let you know, again, reiterating, so you don't have to argue with me. But I just wanted to talk about the WFC2 when they did the first. What was that? The first 1100 or something? I can't remember. Whatever. And when they sent what the package was for that, I was just utterly disappointed.
Yeah.
Like, that was like a certificate, just like one you would get like from a dollar store kind of thing. It seemed like that was just like that. You're promoting your founding members, and this is all we're getting. Like that was there was maybe a couple other things like stickers or stuff like that, but that was a big disappointment.
I got a free water bottle with my Whitecaps season ticket once. 2009, 2010.
Oh yeah, but I remember the blue one, the blue metal aluminum.
But when you you're right. When you compare it to other like the way Cap Scarf had it, like nice boxes, a scarf.
Well, the problem was that the 2011 inaugural one gave folks stuff in a box with a scarf, so folk were then expecting that.
Right,
and so, I do get that, but
so again, I'm not saying right or wrong here. I'm saying their approach has been, we did this in the past. If we want to keep doing it, it's going to probably mean we're going to. They're basically saying we're going to pass the costs on to you. Do you want it? And people have said no.
Yeah, everybody's going to say no.
So if you're frustrated, if you're not happy with this, send an email, call in, and let them know that they'll happily. And if a lot of people do, you'll see a response,
and
because
do it politely as well.
Yes,
you're not going to get an answer.
Yeah, you'll get an answer even if you're not polite. But
really?
be polite. I've heard.
Okay, it doesn't matter.
But be polite. But no, like this is they are the other part of how they operate is they are, in addition to responding to facts and feedback they get, they are very reactionary. So in both the short term and the long term. So if a whole bunch of people say something in the long term, that people might see a benefit for that. The other thing I just want to say, just because I don't know if we talked about this in the past, is one of the things the supporters said to them in the supporter front office meetings is, hey, you've changed to an auto renew system. We are not paying that $10 fee anymore on our season tickets, that admin fee. There's no calling in, there's no whatever. It's a computer thing, whatever. And we were told, no, we can't change that because there's that admin cost, but I don't know the website. And so
don't start me on ticket.
No, I know.
No.
But then they told us what comes of that is what's left over from that. Whatever they have that's left over it, that's what they used to make
the player budget.
No, that's what they used to make those bags. So they said, hey, we have this much left over. We have this many season ticket holders. What can we make to kind of give back from the money we've brought in? So it's all numbers game, and they just don't want to come out they don't want to come out losing money because money has become so important to how they operate.
Nobody wants to lose money.
No. That was Zach's soapbox there, brought to you by Cousson's Imperial Leather, your #1 bar of soap, sponsoring Zach's soapbox.
What soap? Oh,
I just got it on my t-shirt, so I just wear my No Soap in Cowden t-shirt. We'll tweet that out later. We'll be back with more chat then after this.
I'm David Edgar, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
I'm not your stepping stone. I'm not your stepping stone. You're trying to make your mark in society. You're using all the tricks that you used on me. You're reading all them high-fashion magazines. The clothes you're wearing, girl, are causing public scenes. I said,
Not Your Stepping Stone by the Monkees there. One of my favourite all-time Monkey songs.
Yeah, it was actually, I think in 1969, their second album made it to the top of the U.S. charts. This just today. And they lasted there about 18 weeks.
Great band.
I know you would like them, that's why I put it in there.
Yeah. Anyway, it's time now for round 2 of the only one.
I want you to make me feel like I'm the only one, the only one. I want you to make me feel like I'm the only one, the only one.
Round 2 of the only one. Everyone is currently sitting on 1 point, so anyone can win this chocolate that I've got with me. Quick reminder, there's 10 possible answers to the question I'm going to ask you. You write down one answer. If anyone else has the same answer, you get no points. I will also write down an answer, and if that matches one of you, you get no points either. So for this round, what I am looking for is the top 10 all-time appearance leaders in Major League Soccer. So your 30 seconds starts now. This is the theme from Mr. Ben. It's about a man who went into a fancy dress shop and would try on different clothes, go in behind the curtains, come out the other side and have an adventure, tied in with the clothes that he was wearing. My wife doesn't understand the childhood shows that I watched, but it was fantastic. I have the DVD if anyone wants to borrow it. So anyway, that's your 30 seconds up. So we are looking for an answer for a player in the top 10 all-time appearance leaders in Major League Soccer. So let's start this round with Steve.
Again?
Yeah.
Okay. This one I definitely don't know. This is a random guess. Nick Raimondo.
And Nick Raimondo is not in the top 10, so no points for you. Joe?
I think we just skip this. I think we go into the next interview. Let's just skip this.
No.
I think Joe and I both have chosen Nick Raimondo.
Everyone picked Nick Raimondo. Okay,
Yep,
I
Nick
wrote
Raimondo.
down Jeff Cunningham because I was so sure you'd say Jeff Cunningham again. Oh, and Steve had it and scored it out.
But that would have been no points anyways.
I'll just give you the top three. In third place, Steve Ryston,
Never heard of him.
378.
Wait, Steve Ralston?
Ralston, maybe
Yeah.
I can't read my own writing.
Still can't. Never heard of him.
Brad Davis, 392 is second.
Yeah, but
Kyle Beckerman is the leader at 432.
I didn't think of him. I thought maybe he
You
got
could also
injured.
have had Brian Carroll, Chad Marshall, Bobby Boswell, Jeff
I thought
Cunningham,
a keeper would have been in there for
Yeah.
sure.
Moore, Jeff Lorenovich, and Jack Dewsbury.
I had it down between the two RSL guys, but I chose Ronaldo. Because he's a
Eh.
goalie. Goalies never
Yeah.
get subbed out, right?
So everyone's still tied on 1 point. So we're going to bring you another interview now. And we talked about it earlier in the show. I got a chance to sit down with the other draft pick, Lucas Stauffer. Now, this is going to be a bit of a lengthy interview. It runs to about 18 minutes. Make a cup of tea, grab a chocolate digestive, sit down and enjoy it. You might wonder why I'm speaking 18 minutes to a second round draft pick. Well, it was a fascinating interview, and I talk a lot. But there's really a lot to talk to Lucas about. He's had a very interesting journey to MLS. He's talking about that, some of the hardships that maybe people don't understand when you're a youth player that families have to get through. And also, he's something that we haven't seen. He's got a real technical ability here. He's a futsal player and a lot more besides as well. So let's hear now from Lucas Stauffer. So, Lucas, it's been a whirlwind sort of early stage for you here in Vancouver. I asked Justin about this as well, but from being drafted on Friday to then arriving here on the Monday, on the training pitch on Tuesday, how did you find just those first 3 or 4 days? What was that like for you?
Well, I think the word that you used, whirlwind, I think that describes it perfectly, because immediately once I was drafted, I gave my speech, spoke to Carl, literally gave my interviews, did a couple interviews, got some pictures taken, and then flew home with my dad that night, got home at about 2:30 in the morning, went to sleep, woke up, packed a bag, and the next day I was on a flight from Louisville, Kentucky to Chicago to Vancouver. Wow. So it's definitely been a whirlwind, been a great experience. Luckily, I feel like I've been here for like a month, which is awesome. The guys are more than welcoming. The entire club is very welcoming. They want everybody, especially people through the draft, to succeed. From the equipment guys to the media people to the coaching staff, you can just see that everybody wants you to succeed. So before the interview, you said I look so happy out there. Yeah, I am going out there and playing with the quality of players that we have every day, working hard for them, working hard for yourself and the club. It's a blessing. It really is. And smiling is a very small thing, but I can't help but smile.
You have looked so happy out there. I had a quick chat with you on Saturday as you were in in the pouring rain, and it's like a big smile on your face. But this first week, apart from the weather, which has been even worse than usual, how have you found the whole experience here in terms of on the playing side? How different has it been? How more competitive has it been? Has anything surprised you from what you've had at college these last 4 years?
I mean, obviously, if you look across the entire draft board and draftees get asked that question, of course, the quality of player is a lot higher than all around what you're seeing in college. So, obviously, trying to curve the learning gap, trying to crush the learning gap in the first week is what you want to try to do, and I think what good players and good young players can do, and that's what I've tried to do. But it's all credit to the guys on the field. They probably find me a bit annoying because I'm always asking questions, always trying to tweak my game, because I do want to stick around. I do want to play for this club. I do want to play for this city, and I'm just really blessed that they were able to take me in the draft. I mean, you've been around it. It's nothing but professional.
Yeah.
And I feel like if this club, I would find it very hard pressed to find another club like it in MLS. They've really, really set the standard with me and really left an impression on me. So I mean, a blessing, and I use that so much, but that's really what it is, and everyone's so welcoming.
Now, Robbo had talked about the chat that you had pre-draft. It had just gone so well. You talked about it on the conference call that you seem to have the same mentality. And Robbo said again that you kind of gave answers that other players haven't did, but because you were being yourself, you weren't just giving the football answers.
Right.
When you left that chat, did you feel, this could be the club for me? I really like what's going on.
100%. When I left the interview, in my interview was Pa Maduka,
He's a
John,
character.
Awesome guy, John Park, and then Robbo came in probably 5 minutes into the interview. So it was my first interview that I had.
Okay.
I think it was at 7:30 at night the day before all the interviews actually were starting. So yeah, I mean, I feel like in this process and this business, if a club is going to take a chance on bringing you in or signing you, and this goes for drafts, trialists, anything, I mean, they're investing in not only your football, but they're investing how you are going to be in their locker room, how you're going to fit in with the cooks, the trainers, the building managers, like the entire club, and especially at Vancouver, there's a sense of family. Everybody knows everyone's name, and that's very, very special. I was actually talking to Pa coming in and saying this is what a club should be. Everybody's so happy, competitive. The level is very good, and the locker room is fantastic. So it really is like a family. But to get back to the meeting that I had with Robbo, I could feel that, and I feel like we share the same mentality in the fact that he wants to see obviously the team grow and the team to get results, but he also saw that me as an individual, he wanted to kind of grow me as a player. And it might sound a bit sappy, but to be honest, like I'd never had those three guys be that genuine with me before. They were so honest with me and where they felt that I was at. And I was honest with them. I told them that this is where I think I was at. I think that I've been to several other clubs in Europe and through MLS, just trainings during the summer, and this, I really feel like I fit in, and that's credit to all the guys in the locker room being so welcoming and everybody kind of taking me under their wing and showing me the ropes. So it's this week has been fantastic. I'm just happy to be here.
I want to kind of go back a bit then to pre-college stuff for you, because you've had such an interesting journey to me. It's like, first of all, going back to Shattuck St Mary's, and I know that you kind of moved to go and play there and go to school there. What prompted that decision? What was it about them that attracted you to them?
So before I went to Shattuck, my parents were driving 4 hours round trip for training every day for me, and with a time change.
Wow.
So obviously, me being one of 4 kids, that's very time consuming and very difficult. I'd played for the Chicago Magic for a little bit, like as a guest player. In the U.S. you can go guest play in tournaments kind of before the Development Academy started.
Oh, right.
So I was with Mike Makovich, who coached the Chicago Fire, or the Chicago Fire Reserves, was the assistant coach at Toronto for a little bit. But he really was one of the main guys at the Magic that kind of looked out for me at an early age. But yeah, so I did that every weekend. We'll go to the Dallas Cup. I was playing with the Magic, the Chicago Magic at Dallas Cup. A guy from Shattuck approached my dad and said, "Hey, we're interested in your son. Would you guys like to come up?" So it was funny. We drove to Dallas from Kentucky, which is about a 12-hour drive. Then we drove from Dallas to Minnesota, just straight through.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was my freshman year of high school. And we decided, this is going to be, they gave me a really good scholarship for academics and soccer, and so it was a good place to kind of mesh the two. So I decided, me and my family decided that I should go, that this was the best thing for me in my career. But I mean, it's the sacrifice from my parents and my family and my siblings that allowed me to have that opportunity. So really, I'm forever indebted to them.
Yeah.
But so lived away from home since I was 15. Then once I graduated from Shattuck, I went 6 months abroad to Denmark.
Because I was going to ask, what took you there? Because you were in Denmark, you had some time in Holland as well.
Yeah, so when I was 16 during the summer, I went over to Holland and did 2 months of training with De Graafschap, SC Twente, and then Vitesse Arnhem, the club that's partnered, or the owner owns Vitesse and Chelsea. So you see a lot of the Chelsea players get loaned out to Vitesse just because of the owners. The owners own both clubs. So that was a great experience. It was awesome. I loved it over there, but obviously the work permits and things, that's very difficult in Holland.
A big thing for folk.
Came back, finished high school, went to Shattuck, great. My senior year, Tim Carter took me and 4 or 5 other players to Werder Bremen for 2 weeks, trained there, fantastic. Weather similar to here, so it was good. Yeah, it was fantastic. Then finished high school. Then Creighton was the only school that recruited me, so they didn't have finances are a big thing in my family, so we didn't think that we could afford no scholarship for the first semester. So we were like, okay, we need to figure out a plan B. And funny, Denmark, a club in Denmark was looking for a midfielder to play under 19 and reserves, and so I went. We booked the flight. I had exchanged one email with the host family. I had talked to the club. I had talked to the club once on the phone, and I talked to the guy that set it up twice. So it was one of those things that we really went in blind to, but it ended up being one of the best footballing experiences I've had, for sure. I still keep in touch with the host family that put me up. They really immersed me into the culture, and much like here, the club over there did everything they could to help me succeed on and off the field, whether it was rides to training or rides to the bus stop to go to training. So it was fantastic. But yeah, then went there, came back home December 14th once the winter break started, then went to Creighton for 4 years. So I've been lucky. I've been in a lot of good situations, met a lot of good people along the way. Had a lot of good experiences, and I'm just happy to add this one to my list. It's been good.
So, from being overseas and learning all that stuff, how has being in all those different environments helped your game grow?
Well, obviously the Dutch system of football is technique, more technical based than, let's say, Germany, where it's more like power. You know what I mean? And then Denmark is kind of a combination of the two. So being able to go into different clubs and have different experiences just adds to the wealth of knowledge and the way you look at the game as a player. And I'm sure if you go over as a coach, it's the same way. Mm-hmm. So really what I would do, my parents, I owe them everything. They allowed me to have every single opportunity under the sun. My dad runs a futsal club.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad runs a futsal club at home. Started in 2002. called Sports Tutor. Trains 300 plus kids a winter by himself. Referees a high school league and middle school league on Sundays and Saturdays. So, I mean, at the early age, I was playing futsal a lot. Played on the national team, played in the World Cup qualifier, played against Falcao, one of the best players in the world.
Oh, really?
Yep. Never got to play against Ricardinho, who's Portuguese, but played against several brilliant Spanish players, and so that really opened my eyes to the like quality of passing. Like there's like don't pass the ball, don't pass the responsibility. If you know, so like when you play a ball, you want to give your teammate the best sort of situation you can.
Yeah, because a lot of folks just want to get rid of it, so they're not the one that makes the mistake.
Exactly. So you don't want to like pass the responsibility on to another player, because that ultimately makes you and the team look bad. And futsal really opened my eyes to that, because it's a passing game. It's very quick thinking. You have to be able to use both feet. But yeah, I mean, when I go home in the winter, I train mostly futsal. That's it, yeah. So I don't even really touch like an outdoor ball. Obviously, with the combine and trying to get ready for that, I would train with a regular ball, but it would be indoors. So I utilize my dad's facility every time I'm home.
Because like one of the things with futsal, this is what excited me when they drafted you, because you had that background. So much emphasis on the draft seems to be on athleticism.
Yeah.
All the shows that were talking about it and reports, they're all talking about athleticism. No one talked about skill.
Yeah.
It was like that seemed to be like irrelevant. But futsal's going to give you an advantage, I feel, because it's giving you that technical side of the game.
Well, I was talking to Efrain Juarez at dinner one night, and I was talking to him about, like, I know I'm not the fastest player, but I think I've got good technique with both feet, and I'm a good thinker of the game. And he was like, you need to work on your thinking, because if you can think through situations faster than the other player can run, then you'll never get caught out of position.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what my philosophy has been through this entire process is, I'm going to come up against, like in the combine, Francis Atueni, who went to, I think, 7th overall to FC Dallas, I think. I came out, and it was funny, my agent was like, once you come out, because I had a little bit of knock at the combine, don't go back in. And so Todd Yeagley, who's my combine coach, who coaches at the University of Indiana, comes down the bench, and he's like, do you want to go in? And I'm like, where am I going? And he's like, outside back, right back. You're going to mark Francis Atueni. And I was like, put me in. Because, I mean, Alfonso Davis, we spent 20 minutes afterwards with Pa talking about how to beat me. And for me, how to defend players like that. Because he's obviously very, very skilled on the ball.
Yeah.
But he's got a God-given talent of natural pace. And so, for me, dealing with more guys like that, and in the combine situation, dealing with guys like that kind of suppresses the question, he's not very big, he's not blinding with pace, but he's not slow. So for me, I have to put myself in those situations, and ultimately that makes me better. Because that makes me think, there was one situation I talked to Carl about in the meeting that I had. We were playing a back three, and I gave myself 5 yards of room because I knew, watching on the bench, when Gordon Wild cut in on his left, under the combine draft, he went to Atlanta, he chips a ball over to Francis Atueni, and that was kind of like the play that they were doing. So when I saw Gordon get the ball, he cut in on his left, I gave myself 5 yards so the ball wouldn't go over me, because I knew if the ball went over me, I was going to be cooked. And so I gave myself 5 yards, so I dropped 5 yards, and like I won the header and played out. So just those are the players that you want to play against. You always want to play against the best players possible, because that ultimately makes you grow. And then the more you grow training against these guys, the more they grow as well. I mean, obviously it's been a bit of a transition period, but I think I've done okay.
Thank you so much for your time today, Lucas. And it's been a pleasure talking to you, and good luck with everything. Lucas Stauffer there. Hope you enjoyed our chat with him. Fascinating backstory to the lad. I don't think you can listen to that interview and not wish him to do well and get a good contract with the Whitecaps down the road. As he said there, he's kind of lived on his own since he was 15 away from home, so he really wants to make this, and just great guy. But we'll be back with some more chat and some MLS news after this.
Hey, it's Stefan Marinovic, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
So Zach was singing non-stop. I mean, folk talk about my dancing. Zach was so into... You didn't strike me that you'd be so into the Beastie Boys.
Oh, ill communication brings back good memories from high school.
I loved Girls, and I just wished we had added that to the Whitecaps repertoire before Portland did.
I don't believe that's from that album. It's the previous album.
Not sure.
I'm not.
Great song. Anyway.
I'm probably getting that all wrong, but...
Catch Zach on his Beastie Boys podcast after this show, 1 to 5 a.m.
Yeah, we could do that if you want. I'm all for that. But you are listening to the AFTN Soccer Show just now on CITR Radio. Now it's time to talk about the MLS news of the week. Beep, 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 beep. Maybe we should get a kind of MLS theme?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, eventually when the season starts, we're going to have to throw this all in headlines. We're not going to have that much time.
It's been a quiet week, though, after all that. Quiet week. MLS transfer window officially opened.
No massive news. There are little bits here and there.
May 1st is when the window is open till. So some teams have added some things, but first thing we want to talk about, Orlando City's CEO, Alex Leitao, has slammed Kyle Larin. He said Larin didn't respect the club, his contract, or the group. Turkish media say that Orlando got $2.3 million in the transfer fees.
And they kept all of it.
Yeah.
That's American.
Yeah, American. That's not been confirmed by anyone, but I trust Turkish media.
And they kept all of it. They have to share with the MLS a lot.
Basically, the CEO said they knew Larin was wanting to leave, and they don't want players that don't want to be at the club, and I respect that.
No, that to me is so disingenuous. They only wanted to move him when they could get the most money for him based on the
they wanted the most money, but he said that that Larin had made it clear to them he wanted to play in Europe.
Yeah, and the thing is he what at one point he put in there is that the agent thought he could get there for free.
Yes,
which would make him even more valuable. Probably maybe get better salary because they don't have to pay a transfer fee for him.
And we won't go into all the ins and outs because we've talked about that the last couple of weeks. One thing I've never said on it though is to treat a club that looked after you when you were going through your troubles from the drink driving and DUI thing that you had, it does show a bit of a lack of respect. So I am with him in that.
Okay.
Well, the thing is, I also want to say that Orlando is kind of they don't respect some things, like maybe respect the city they were playing in before.
Respect Steve.
They can't really talk about respect too much.
Although the guy who did that is no longer with Orlando, which is kind of hilarious.
God.
But
now it's Kyle Larin.
But here's, you talk about what happened this past year. He wanted out. He wanted out after the first year.
Yeah.
Right. So this is not like something that just happened overnight or just happened after that incident.
No, and he was a player I think that Robbo had some interest in as well, being Canadian, being a goal scorer. But I'd rather have Kai Kamara, to be honest. But one Canadian may have left MLS, another one has arrived. bit of a weird one for me, though. LAFC signing Mark Anthony Kay.
Why is this so weird for you?
I thought he was very impressive at the Gold Cup.
He's on the rise.
Yeah.
It seems weird to go to LAFC.
Obviously Bob Bradley really saw something in him.
He's on the rise.
I thought a Canadian club would go to him. Is what I'm saying. That LAFC would want.
Well, I don't know his relationship in Toronto, but he's basically a Toronto reject.
Yeah, he played with TFC too. They didn't want him.
Yeah, so he goes to Louisville, right?
And he plays in
Louisville. He's great. He ends with a title.
He scores goals.
Yeah,
so that's why he didn't fit in here.
Apparently,
he's kind of a Thibaut Hutchinson light, in a way.
Okay, but apparently I haven't heard this validated yet, but I heard he's like the most expensive transfer from USL to MLS.
I could believe it because he did do well with them. Now we talked in recent shows about our rivals and how they've been adding lots of players, and we've seen a little bit more. Portland, who seem to be stacking up the attacking pieces.
Well,
they lost a lot. Too much about their defence.
No, but they lost a lot too.
They have.
Yeah.
They used Tam, who gets around, to bring in another attacking piece. 27-year-old Swedish international forward Samuel Armenteros, coming on loan from Serie A side Benevento Calcio. He spent last season in the Dutch league, where he scored 22 goals in 32 appearances. They've got an option to buy him at the end of the loan deal. He's had 2 caps for Sweden. He's played in the Europa League. To me, this looks another good-looking addition for the Timbers and a bit of a worry when the Whitecaps are fighting against these teams.
It looks like a positive depth signing, but the Dutch Eredivisie is not what it used to be.
No, definitely not.
That was the word I couldn't say.
And the thing is they're bringing a lot of people on loan. They're not AFC bringing it, so it seems like that. There's no harm in that because you can have a look at a player before you buy them.
And Benevento didn't get a point until October
or
something like that. So I don't think he's like a huge goal scoring.
No, I don't think he's done that well in Italy.
Some of the other guys they brought in, though, Steve, they wanted to buy, but the clubs wouldn't sell them to them.
So they just loaned
them. Now they have a loan with a guaranteed amount that they can buy them for at the end of the year, which is probably better for them in the long run, especially if it doesn't work out.
RSL, another Western Conference rival, they have signed a Croatian.
Bundesliga.
Yeah.
But one of the Bundesliga.
So, I mean, Zach, you'll know all about this guy.
The Zweite Liga, the second Bundesliga.
Is he? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I thought
Union Berlin.
I thought Union Berlin was in Bundesliga.
No.
That shows you how much I pay attention to Bundesliga.
Croatian's central midfielder, Damir Krajlach. I'm going to go with a Krajlach.
Release the Krajlach.
Oh, there's their tifo right away. Although if he's not very good and they want to release him for another way, then
that'll be the headline when he gets released.
Jordan Much had so many headlines for him, doesn't look like he's coming. Anyway, that's another story. 28-year-old Croatian central midfielder, 33 goals in 147 matches over 5 seasons, bolstering the centre of their park. Don't know too much about the guy, but
he'll be probably either play alongside Beckerman or be a backup or probably in that area.
No, quite a few goals for a central midfielder.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
It'll be interesting to see if he can connect well with the young Czech guy they brought in last year. The creative guy. I can't remember. His name is escaping right now. Number 11.
Talking about loan deals, though, I don't know if this was confirmed or if it was just rumoured. There were so many rumours this week that I didn't put most of them in because I don't really like rumours, but this seems like it's almost a done deal if it isn't. Yamil Assad.
Here, I'll move this over a little bit.
Yamil Assad. Yeah, I try to think of an acid joke, but I'm kind of failing.
No, don't think of acid jokes. Cut that out. That'll be edited out.
He was dropped from a few clubs. He was dropped twice. Anyway, Yamil Assad, DC United bound, 7 goals and 13 assists for Atlanta last year. They wanted him, but they balked at the $1 million sort of offer to buy. So now it looks like he's going to DC United. DC United are sending them. Well, they're sending $500,000 to Atlanta for his rights.
Oh wow!
Then $300,000 in a loan fees to Vélez Sarsfield, and then if they want to make the permanent thing, it's another $700,000. That just seems ridiculous.
That's a $1.5 million then.
Yeah,
essentially.
1.5 altogether. Now the guy's done well, but it just seems ridiculous for a guy that you might not. You're giving up $800 for a guy you still might not own.
Only 7 goals in 32 appearances last year.
13 assists though.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Remember, DC United is opening their new home this year.
Yes.
They need some better attacking options than they've had in previous years.
Yeah, and they do have the acid-tongued David Ousted in goals. So I knew I'd find a way in the end. 2 MLS grounds are up for Stadium of the Year. 27 finalists altogether. There's one in India, Steve. None in Scotland. Atlanta and Orlando's stadiums are the ones that's up for that.
Atlanta's a football stadium.
It was just stadiums that were built this year as well. Atlanta's is impressive.
But it is a American football stadium.
But it's not just soccer stadiums.
Oh, okay.
It's like any kind of stadium.
Any stadiums. Oh, gotcha.
Because there is another American one that's in there, an actual football stadium.
Okay, sorry, I didn't
know
that. Okay.
But Atlanta Stadium is impressive. I would like to take a game in there. Orlando's alike. It's a nice little soccer-specific stadium.
It was Orlando's like when they just started in the league. Like it was fantastic to see like the stand behind the goal just right on top of him. Like you really feel the atmosphere. But I agree with Michael. If I could pick one to go to, I'd go to Atlanta Stadium. The Mercedes.
I thought Sporting was pretty good still.
Yeah, but it's not a new one.
No.
Oh
wow. Okay.
I would love the Whitecaps one day to be on the Stadium of the Year nomination list for our 60,000 waterfront stadium that we've got. If you hear weird things in the background, folks seem to be moving stuff around upstairs. So
I thought it was soundproof. This studio.
Yeah, I thought it was as well.
About the waterfront stadium, who knows? Maybe Bobble will give up his office. And
Lots of new jerseys launched this week. The Whitecaps one came out. Adidas seems to have got a job lot on black though.
Yeah, like a bit. They went to Costco and just bought black, a lot of black fabric.
Yeah. Any of the other strips jump out at you guys that you liked?
No. Not really. I wasn't paying attention.
I heard you guys talk about the Whitecap strip last week. I really do like the look, but I think it was Zach who said it has nothing to do with the history of the club. I read the jargon that they gave when they announced the jersey.
Yeah, Unity.
Unity, nice name, but the thing is, they got the grey from the outline of the grey from the crest. Like, okay, it's like I don't know if anyone's used Microsoft Paint before, but you can like pick a color from a specific part of something. It seems like that's all they did. Like they dropped that onto the image.
But it's honouring the bridge disaster.
I thought it was after that Dave Chappelle skit where Rick James goes Unity.
Yeah, you sent something out. I didn't get that.
Oh, you have to watch the Dave Chappelle show, and you would be laughing
Yeah, the iron workers thing is really interesting. One perspective on that is like, was that the heart of this, or was that like, oh, we want to do this? What can we attach it to?
I thought the owner went over Lionsgate Bridge, and that's where he got
that. It just feels like it's good to make community connections, but this feels like, again, their motto is you're always selling. So it feels like they're trying to sell to new people, kind of thing.
I can't wait till the meth white jersey comes out.
I will say though, for them, one of their objectives with this is to sell kits.
Yeah, and they definitely will.
They definitely will.
Oh, this one will be a big
because
seller.
you can wear it with anything.
Yeah, the other one you can only wear when you're going to bed,
and it's slimming as well.
Yes.
Well, I don't know if I'm looking at you for that one, Zach, but apparently I've been told it's slimming.
That being said, I do like the kit, the good design. It's just that, it would be nice to have a community connection.
The design is, they do have a community connection, but the design, the thing that's off-putting for me is this, where the arms are different. But
that seems to be the thing that's quite common as well in MLS.
No, but if you look at, some of them are different though, I think, because you look at the Seattle one with the whatever, which a lot of people really hate, and I don't like Seattle because of their color, but I don't think that the kit's that as bad as everyone's making out to be. But it's color. It's more that the difference on their kit is so awkward, where you can see the shoulders that go into the back. I don't know.
I was disappointed though, because I had been told that there was going to be a new jersey sponsor, but it seems that it's still Bell. I was told Viagra was the new one, because they were trying to get some help in how to handle a semi.
Could it be like a Gravol for congestion in the midfield or something like that?
But anyway, that is the MLS news for the week. Now it's time for my favourite part of the show. It's Wavelength. But no, in honour of Joe being here, we have gone for an Irish band. Now, this song featured in one of our Wavelength All Music specials, so that not as many folk listen to those as the normal one, so I thought I'd bring it back for this proper Wavelength section. This is from 1997. An Irish band called The Hitchers, from their album It's All Fun and Games Till Someone Loses an Eye. And this is a song about the wee ginger man from Scotland, Gordon Strachan.
match to start a fight up with me. She said, what's that you're watching? It's a program about art. She said, a program about art. I said, a program about art. And then the greatest midfield artist of them all walked out onto the park. The crowd were on their feet and they whistled and they cheered for the tiny wee Scotsman with the copper-coloured hair. She said, you just don't care, you never listen, you know. You get chunked to Weatherall and Weatherall to Durigo. Durigo knocks it onto Fairclough. Fairclough looks for speed. Now she's ranting like a lunatic. I'm switching off that telly. Look at me while I'm talking to you. To Strachan now, puts Kelly through. There's one man pulling all the strings and 22. Though damn well who the air begins to thicken. Inside the box, Strachan has stricken. The gap unfilled, he makes the kill. 1-0. She waited for the match to start a fight up with me. She said, what's that you're watching? It's a program about art. She said, a program about art. I said, a program about art. And then the artist tackles perfectly and floats over the park to the wake. Rodney Wallace knocks it back into team. And now the team is sheet and McAllister, and McAllister's just seen that Gordon Strachan slipped his marker and he's free now in space. And now they're pouring forward, spraying the ball all over the place. Now Gary Speed is involved again. He steadies the ball. Am I talking to myself? She says, I'm talking to the wall. Will you look at me while I'm talking to you? To Fairclough now, but Strachan true. There's one man pulling all the strings. 22, no damn well who the air gets even thicker. The keeper's quick, Gordon Strachan's quicker. The gap unfilled, he makes the kill. 2-0. She waited for the match to start a fight up with me. She said, what's that you're watching? It's a program about art. If you don't take your grief and bad vibes and get out of my face, I'm gonna sit right here and whistle my way through Melrose Place. You could have let the air in the room with a matchstick. McAllister's cross sets on Strachan's hat-trick. The gap unfilled, Strachan's skill. 3-0.
Hey, I'm Brett Levis, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
A song for Zach there, a nice wrestling tune. The theme entrance music for the party peacock himself, Dalton Castle. Ring of Honour World Champion, Zach. But I'm here with my boys. Dalton Castle's got his boys. And you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio. And now it's time for the third and final round of the only one. So which one of you lucky boys will be feeling like the only one for me tonight? Round 3.
Is there a tiebreaker if we were tied after?
No, we'll go to next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is going on all year long.
Yeah, I thought I would carry it on actually for the year. Like whenever Joe is on the show, we'll do
Well, he
this.
could always send it in from wherever
then he
he
can
is.
look the answer up.
Oh, that's
I don't
good.
trust Irish folk.
Can't trust a Corkman.
Yep. So this one, this will please Zach this round. So I'm looking for a player that makes the top 10 all-time appearances in the MLS era for Vancouver Whitecaps, but it also includes Champions League, Canadian Championship. So who is in the top 10 Whitecaps players' appearances in the MLS era? Your 30 seconds starts now. This is the theme tune to Trumpton. Trumpton was a delightful village. You had Trumpton, Campbellwick Green and Chigley. Okay, so your 30 seconds is up. We'll start this time with Joe.
Hang on.
Okay, just waiting for Zach to finish up.
Zach always needs more than 30 seconds. So does my wife.
I'm going to go for a controversial one.
Oh.
I think I know the one that most people are going to write, so this game is getting into my head. Eric Hurtado.
Oh no, he does. He's in ninth. 107.
He's just been around for a while.
Yeah. He does. Well done.
Oh, I should have said the other person who I was like, they've been around for 4 years, but I didn't. Who was that? I can't even remember now.
Good job.
Oh, I was going to say Kendall, but he's not on. Is he in there?
Kendall is on the list. He also has 107.
I should have said Kendall.
Who did you say?
I put Matthias Laba.
And Matthias Laba is there. He is fifth with 128.
I put David Ousted.
That's number one.
No, he is third with 150. Jordan Harvey is number
Jordan,
one.
Right.
And who did you put?
And you put Gershon Kofi, right?
I put Russell Tiber again because I thought Zach would write Russell Tiber.
I thought you were going to put
wanted him
Gershon
get no
Kofi because you
points.
thought Gersh is on there, right?
Yep, Gersh is there.
Yeah.
He's second on 150 as well.
Yeah, see, I thought you were going to put that because you thought I'd put it. Yeah.
I think that was one of the trivia questions we had earlier in the thing, too.
Yeah. So, points for everyone.
Jordan Harvey would be the tricky one that everyone would have gone for.
Yeah.
I think if we're going to award, if we want to differentiate the points a little bit, I think Joe deserves like a bonus point or something for getting Eric Hurtado.
No.
Wait, what are you saying about Eric Hurtado? He's a fantastic player.
I don't think a lot of people would have put him in that.
No.
Guessed him in that list.
No, probably not.
Are there any surprising other people on that list?
Yeah, well, the top 10, and this is including like Champions League and Canadian Championship. So Harvey, Kofi, Ousted, Tiber, Laba, Mane, Darren Mattix, 110.
Yeah, he's another.
Waston, Hurtado, and maybe the 10th one might surprise a few folk. Camilo.
Oh.
Anyway, Everyone's tied on 2. We will continue that later in the year. But now, it's got me a bit hungry. It's time for David Norman to take me out.
Take me out!
If you're home at night or you want to get some takeout food, what would be your takeout food of choice?
Sushi for sure.
Is there anywhere in particular you like to go for it?
I know quite a few places. Nothing really, like no place that I have particular, but just like anywhere for sushi. Yeah.
And any particular kind of favourite dish?
I like chicken teriyaki. I like a yam tempura roll. Those are probably the go-to. Those two.
Went to the shop, I went to the chip shop, went to the burger shop, did it all around stop. Hey, hey, I want a Johnny takeaway. Hey, hey, woo, woo, woo. Hey, hey, I want a Johnny takeaway. Hey, hey, woo, woo, woo.
David Norman there. Now, starting up a big argument and discussion I constantly have with my wife. I don't class those as sushi. To me, sushi should be raw fish. My wife doesn't like raw fish, so she has yam tempura roll, chicken teriyaki roll. I don't think that's sushi.
Well, technically, the sushi is the type of rice that you serve.
Yeah.
The raw fish is called sashimi.
Anyway, now it's time for BC Soccer Web headlines. BC Soccer Web Headlines is brought to you in partnership with bcsoccerweb.com, your one-stop site for local, national and international news and links. Make it part of your daily routine, bcsoccerweb.com. What's been catching your eye on the site this week, Steve?
Well, since it's 1 o'clock, we'll try to make this really quick. A couple of things.
The night is young.
Yes, it is. Some quick hits. Chinese Super League, they feel like a headline was has the bubble burst with the transfer tax. Essentially, the Chinese are putting a 100% tax on every transfer. So, for example, Diego Costa was thinking about coming over. It would have been $64 to pay Chelsea.
I'd get it for $64.
64 million. Sorry, 64 million. 64 million to send to Chelsea, and then it would have been 64 million to pay to the government as well because of the tax or FA or whatever it was.
Sad thing is, I don't think the Whitecaps would even have paid the $64.
So if they wanted to pay for Freddie Montero, that would have been double of what they were wanting for him. So that's essentially what there is.
Crazy times.
Liga MX is thinking about suspending promotion and relegation. I know you guys probably have some things to say about that.
I think it's weird.
Yeah, I can believe that. I know they feel that there's not enough quality teams in the second division to compete. But how do you become a quality team? Giving them 4 years to stew in their own division before maybe getting promoted again is not going to do that.
No, this is a case. This is a case of modern football saying, "Hey, we're in. How can we keep other people out? How can we keep
even
making
the
the
English
most money
Premier
possible?"
League had,
of course,
talked about this at some point.
Fools.
Oh, another headline here. It's actually just a quick funny story. VAR and the giant flag, how a match in Portugal became a scene of farce.
This was fantastic.
Essentially, it was a third goal. It was a 3-0 game, so goal really wasn't that important. But there was a dispute on the goal. The referee went to VAR, and a supporter's flag blocked the camera that was supposed to be the ideal thing to look at, and they couldn't overrule it at that point.
Like it's a small enough place for that to happen, but you have to think about it bigger. Like in the Bundesliga, they wave flags all the time, right? I guess the stadiums are bigger, so they don't block the cameras, but broadcasters have a responsibility to make sure that there's all the angles are available. Yeah, you'd think they would think
ahead. I mean, VAR's had... I meant to mention this in last week's show. Did anyone see the FA Cup game between Liverpool and West Brom where VAR was used?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. The decision, it was over 2 minutes for some of the decisions. Yeah. No one had any idea what was going on. And I think VAR's great, but when you see it played out in a farcical way like that, it's going to turn people against it, which I think is a bad thing.
Yeah, it was pretty... The game was just broken up. One of the waits was and waiting for a penalty in particular.
Yeah,
it puts added pressure on the player.
It was right decisions in the end, which was at least good, but way too long to get there.
It's too clunky.
Yeah.
EduSport Academy eyes Premiership place by 2025 under web-based fan membership. This is essentially in the Scottish leagues. They want to get in there. I think it was £25 per year they were expecting from members, and that would raise money in order to climb up and up the ranks.
To be honest, you don't have to spend that much to go from the bottom division into probably the second tier in Scotland. But then making the next jump's not quite as easy. And people that signed up for the whole Ebbsfleet thing, that was not what people were expecting. And then the club went into serious financial problems with that, and they're just starting to come back. And I joined the Supporters Trust after the whole thing just to help them along, because I went to Connect game in Ebbsfleet. But stuff like this can ruin clubs.
Yeah. Supporter ownership has to be done right.
Yeah. This just sets a bad example, and it's not something I would actually want to see work, I don't think. It just gives people the wrong idea of what supporters ownership is.
But does the web-based format change anything compared to what Ebbsfleet did?
Well, the thing about Ebbsfleet is they signed up expecting to pick a team and stuff. It doesn't look like this would be the case.
Yeah.
But the problem was in the second year of Ebbsfleet. People thought, I'm not getting value for money. Why am I paying this money? I'm not really getting any decent return. Would they feel the same? And then you've got a club that's trying to do all these things, but then they haven't got the money to back it up.
Mm-hmm.
Australia is launching a bid to host the 2023 Women's World Cup. It's in France in 2019. It'll be 2023 in Australia. So
is there any one they'd be bidding against?
Not at this point, but it's just right now the bids are just opening up, so we'll see if there's anybody other bids.
Good for them. I hope they get it.
Yeah, I'd love to see the women down under.
I think Americans will probably put a bid in as well. I'm assuming they would, because it's been a while for them to host, I think, right, at this point?
Yeah, I can't remember when they last hosted it. But with Canada having this one, I don't know if they'd want a gap.
2003.
2003.
I believe.
Okay. And then, so again, we'll go back to U.S. soccer. Couple of big stories. One was the NASL launches a new suit against U.S. Soccer Board.
New week, new lawsuit.
Yeah, and there's a follow-up article that came out on Thursday about how this new lawsuit is, and comparing it and contrasting it with the original one. Or to the federal one that was.
So the crazy one is they're suing individual members of the USF. So like I think Carlos Bocanegra is one of them, right?
Yeah.
It feels a little bit grasping at straws.
And they don't want USSF or whatever to pay the fees for these the lawsuits. They want the individuals to.
It's basically they're trying to cause so much of a fuss that they'll go, look, just go away. We'll give you what you want.
Yeah,
it's how it smacks.
But they did have the U.S. soccer election this year. This weekend, basically. They announced it, I think, on Saturday.
Yeah.
Carlos Cordero
lost to Hope Solo.
Yeah, no.
Shock.
No. He won it.
She didn't have kind words for him, too.
No. He was Sunil Gulati's right-hand man.
Yeah.
But it was interesting to see how it broke up. One of the articles that was on BC Soccer Web broke it down to how it went from round to round. And
interesting, some voting shifts.
The president of SUM was ahead in the first round.
Kathy Carter.
And then a second round, Carlo, he moved up. Kathy went down. And then by the third round, I think MLS and a lot of other people had pushed all their support towards Carlos Cordero, and that got him the election because you need 50% plus to get it. So it's interesting to see how that shaped up, and he's saying a lot of the right things. And the thing is, the biggest factor in his election were the players. The players, because they vote in a block all together. They're not individual voting. They're all as a block. They put their support behind him, and not one of the former players that were running either.
It would be interesting to see the distribution of the votes, just to see, like, a lot of people seem to think this is more of the same kind of like just promoting from within with the same problems, but
he the way he talked afterwards, he said that just because I was with this doesn't mean there's not going to be changes.
He's going to say that, right?
But he said it after he got the election. So why would you even say that after that?
The hope was it was going to be somebody that wasn't from the establishment, but
Martino or Winalda would have been really interesting.
Yeah, they got 10%. And they didn't really move from round to round on there.
But out of the two establishment figures, I'd rather it was him than Kathy Carter.
Yeah, I agree.
The players were not going to vote for her. She did get the NWSL.
Yeah,
vote.
NWSL, they gave a block to her.
Oh, of course, the players are not going to vote for her. She worked for the company that the MLS hides their money in.
Yeah.
That then when they go to the union negotiations, they say, we don't have any money. We lost all this money.
we're going to move to Canadian, a little bit of Canadian news, but there was a great article on the Northern 11 by Jeff Salisbury about why Canadian soccer needs to divorce the U.S. system, and essentially talking about like a full like PDL, all the teams get out of the USL or either the PDL or out of the USL and make it just Canadian. Because he was talking about how there's a lot of people are just going after the money and not really growing the game, and just there's a lot of barriers, and Canada's not going to really they're not going to excel when there's barriers in the U.S. soccer system.
Yeah, because the same problems that the U.S. teams will have, the Canadian teams will inherently have, as well as the problems.
And none of the advantages, because they're Canadian.
I wouldn't mind seeing it, but I would not want to have further away trips. We can get down to Seattle and Portland quite easy.
Yeah.
If you're in a Canadian league, it's not as easy to get to away games.
Oh, for sure.
That's a good point. But playing them is one thing, but
yeah,
like organization-wise, there should be a bit more.
Getting to Victoria,
it's pretty.
Pretty
yeah.
Or going from the Fraser Valley to Vancouver.
Victoria would not be... Like, if the Whitecaps were in a Canadian league, Victoria is not going to draw that kind of support to be a par with the Whitecaps.
Says you. Okay, so talking about Victoria, the Highlanders FC have announced their head coach, Thomas Neindorf.
Yeah.
Name known to many of us. One of the head honchos back when the residency started off.
Well, he was the
main guy
the founding coach. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to catching up with him when he comes over here for the game, and we'll have a sit down with that.
I asked you to, especially Michael, to read this one. I hope you did.
I did.
FIFA step in at the CAF Congress to gag Morocco from the 2026 Morocco 2026 from showcasing their bid. It seems
bizarre.
A weird thing that they were, and then they have points in there where they're talking about Justin Trudeau shaking hands with guys from FIFA, and then it seems very weird, the whole setup there.
Yeah, I just didn't get why you would block a bid. It makes it look like they think it's a done deal. It's going to be the US. They don't want Morocco rocking the boat or just messing things up.
They weren't even putting a bid. They were just showing the other members of the African groups to what their bid was.
It's kind of just disappointing to those who thought that FIFA might be cleaning up its act. But
yeah, exactly. That's
And talking about the World Cup, $5 billion is expected to come into North America if they win the World Cup.
Okay, if they win the World Cup.
Oh, I mean, the bid, yeah.
Okay, if they get the bid. The thing is, when FIFA come in, they are tax-free for everything they do. Yeah. They basically circumvent all the laws.
So they could be $10 billion if they do that.
And they take everything all the money that they make, they can take it tax-free out of the country. Like, you can look at Brazil, you can look at South Africa in particular, like the studies that they've done there, the amount of money that's been lost. And also, there's a thing called FIFA courts. I don't know if you've heard about them before. They basically set up their own court system in countries that they come into that they feel the court system is inadequate to process people. In South Africa, they arrested a couple of guys for stealing stuff from tourists who were there to see the World Cup. They were tried, processed, and within 12 hours they were in jail. Like, it's an expedited version of their form of democracy.
That's a good thing, surely.
I don't know. I think the system, what's in place now, has and the crimes were really severely punished for what they did.
Michael, please don't call him Shirley.
I think on that note, that is a good way to end the show. So, Shirley, let everyone know where they can find you online.
You can find me on Twitter at Whitecapsbeat.
I have to find my new Twitter handle. 1 second.
You can find Joe on Twitter at Joe Deasy Van.
That's the one, yeah.
And I'm at Zachary AM on Twitter. I'm a part of the Movement Cover Collective.
I'm Michael McCall. You can find me on Twitter at AFTN Canada. Give us a follow on Instagram at AFTN Soccer. Read our stuff away from the numbers, aftn.ca. Going to have a lot of stuff up on the site this week. Also, I'm the Whitecaps beat reporter for MLSsoccer.com. And if you've enjoyed this podcast, remember to leave a review for us on iTunes. If you haven't enjoyed this podcast, leave a review on From the Backline. But until next time, thanks for listening. Take care. And mon the Caps.
Going to your first match is an experience you never forget. The atmosphere of what's going on around the pitch looks beautiful, and you always look and go, wow, I'd love to play here one day. If you get the bug, it's going to stay with you for life.